Coming to you from BLC Studios in Mankato, Minnesota, this is the Bethany Vikings podcast. Hosted by Brock Aker, Jake Anderson, and Gabe Stace. It's time to go inside Bethany Athletics.
Welcome back to another edition of the Bethany Vikings podcast. This week there wasn't a lot of sports, Gabe. I know we're getting right to it, but because we have some fun coming up here. We're going to have the Bethany Vikings initials draft after our two interviews with Stephanie Whitbroad and Riley Ashburn.
Yeah, two really good interviews at that. Both stars on their respective track and field teams for this upcoming season, and obviously Riley Ashburn of men's basketball as well.
Newcomer of the year for basketball as well, as being one of their best track and field participants. Though, like I said, it was really bare for the sports this past week due to weather. Minnesota weather kind of turned its heels. It was 70 degrees wet last Monday, and then it turned into about 30 degrees and cloudy this past whole week. So the only teams that played were the women's tennis team. They got swept by Crookston and Bemidji State, but those are two Division II opponents, so you weren't expecting a lot there. And then the softball got swept by UW Stout on Saturday. So there won't be a player of the week this week because of so little amount of sports for each team. So with that, we'll just get right to the interviews. First with Stephanie Whitbroad and then Riley Ashburn. And after that, stay tuned with the Bethany Vikings initials draft. We are now joined by UMAC MVP in the women field events this winter, freshman Stephanie Whitbroad. And how are you doing today, Stephanie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. And right before this interview, you said Whitbroad is how you announce the name.
Yes,
we might have been a little off earlier this podcast season, but since you're the UMAC MVP, we're going to say your name right for the rest of the podcast season this year. So you're from Wyoming. I don't know a lot of people from Wyoming. I don't think I know anyone from Wyoming other than Josh Allen I know played there. What is Wyoming like?
It's really bare. There's like 4 sections. There's the like really flat area. Then you've got the mountains, and then what is it? The national park. You got Yellowstone up in the northwest of Wyoming, and then you've got more flat. So it's either flat or mountains. That's all you got.
How far away are you from what's the Yogi Bear Park, or what's it called?
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Okay.
Where I live in Douglas, it's about a 8-hour drive.
Oh wow! So Wyoming's pretty big then. If it's you live in Wyoming.
It's not really like that big, but it's just like the way the roads, I guess, work and like the way they go is they make it big. So
interesting. What made you pick Bethany? Did you get like any offers maybe from like Wyoming and other places?
No. So I actually only got recruited by Coach Dunn for track.
Okay.
And my original plan before I found out about Bethany was to do cheerleading at the University of Wyoming. And then I got recruited here, and then I ended up really liking it. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? Let's do track. I like track.
That's awesome. I saw you're a 3-time All-State cheerleader. Like, how do you become All-State? Like, what do they grade?
So it's based off of your like tightness, tumbling, stunting, your sound levels in your cheers, the way that your dances and cheers look. Other than that, there's really nothing that they go off of. It's more of just what your skill level is compared to other cheerleaders that try out. So
did you do it for basketball and like football and stuff, the cheerleading?
Yeah. So I did cheerleading all the way through high school. I did all 4 years. I was varsity all 8 times, all 8 seasons, I guess every basketball and every football season. So
when they introduced you, did you do a backflip, or what was your go-to?
That was my thing. When I got introduced at state cheer for all state, I would do standing back tuck or standing backflip, whatever you want to call it.
That's awesome. Does that help you like with track and field at all, or just athleticism?
The athleticism part definitely helps with like the cheerleading and gymnastics background that I have. So
yeah, well, going now into your freshman season, you were the MVP, also the Rookie of the Year, 2-time Athlete of the Week, 1-time Track Athlete of the Week, and you finished all conference in 4 different events: the 60-meter hurdles, the long jump, the high jump, and the triple jump. With that all being said, what were your goals coming into the season? And given how much you accomplished, I'm guessing, did you complete those goals?
Yeah, I exceeded my goals. I knew that I was probably going to end up winning triple jump saying that my outdoor PR is a 37.2 for triple jump. And I found out from looking at other girls from past years that the winning mark was usually about a 32. So throughout the entire year, I was jumping about 30, like high 34s to 35s. So I knew that I was kind of going to win the triple jump, but I did not think that I would even get close to winning high jump, long jump, or maybe even placing second place in hurdles. I knew that I would have a good meet and like I would do good based on what I thought I would be good at, but I did not think I was going to do that good.
So how much greater was your triple jump? I know you got the record at your high school.
Mm-hmm.
How much larger of a gap did you make at college, or is it pretty similar?
So my high school triple jump record is 37.2, like I said. The record here for indoor was 34.5.5. And then I set the record at a 35.3.5 or 10.74 meters. So I am about 2 feet back on the PR my PR for like all my triple jump, but I'm going to end up getting that in outdoor, I believe. So I think I can do it. So I'll rock with that.
You speaking about the outdoor, what is really the big difference between indoor and outdoor? And usually are you more likely to get the extra inch outdoor, or?
Honestly, I have no idea what the big difference was. Just I never competed indoor in high school, so I didn't really believe anybody that said, "Oh, there's a difference in triple jump or in any of the events in outdoor and indoor." And then I got to indoor track in the first jump practice of, jump practice in general. I barely was making it into the pit doing triple jump because it just was so different. If I had to say like what the difference might be, it would probably be like the ground and like the thing you're on. Like a lot of indoor tracks have like weird basketball material. It's not like hardwood, but it's not soft either. It's more of like a carpet, just like a really flat carpet.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say that, and like the way that you grip the ground is probably something that has to do with it. It also is just depending on like where you live, some people do better in weather than other people. And I do way better outside competing wise. So
that's awesome. But you still, for your first indoor season, I got Gabe Stace, who's on the podcast this week. He wrote in the scroll that Stephanie Whitbroad, freshman, won the women's track and field team, completely arguably the best UMAC indoor season in program history, as she took home those 3 UMAC championships. And we went over the events that you won. So according to Gabe, you just had the best indoor season at Bethany. How do you go from here, though? How do you go from all this success and stay kind of motivated?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Gabe Stace for saying that I had the best program history for track. Second of all, I think just trying harder, putting in more work than what I put in this season. And I guess thinking about like each of the events that I do, like thinking about them individually and not thinking ahead of each event. So if I'm doing one of my throwing events, if I'm doing shot put, I think strictly about shot put and not about how I'm going to run my 100-meter hurdles or my 60-meter hurdles. And I only focus on the one event at a time. And then when I get to the next event, think about that one. So that's probably a good way that I can like keep my mindset straight on that. Other ways that I can get better from here is probably just like staying calm at meets and not like letting a bad mark affect me, and stay calm, kind of like that.
That's awesome. Your depth for being a freshman, the way you're answering these questions, you seem more veteran-like. But you do so many different events like you just talked about. Did you do that many in high school, or did you pick up some now you got at Bethany?
Oh God, no. I only did the 100-meter hurdles, triple jump, occasionally long jump, and then like the 4x1 in high school. I never did any throwing events. I never did high jump. I never ran farther than a 300-meter hurdle, but I never really even did those because I never really did them. But
wow, that's crazy because you got the school record now in shot put and weight throw, and you never did that until you got to Bethany. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's insane. I didn't think that I would even get close to getting those records. Definitely year one. Like I thought like, oh, I could maybe get that by like junior, senior year, but I ended up setting both of them by like 1.5 meters or 2 meters.
That's awesome.
2 weeks. So
you got to go to Waverly, Iowa then for the regional, right? What was that experience for you just as a freshman to learning experience?
Oh, it was a great experience going to Waverly for the national qualifiers. Like I ran my first pentathlon at Waverly and in the national qualifiers, and I ended up placing third. And in my very first pentathlon, I ended up breaking the school record by about 200 points. And then I also ended up with the score of a 28-48, placing 50th in the nation, being ranked.
Wow. And that goes with D1 even, everything?
Not D1, but
okay.
out of D3.
D3.
Out of D3, I'm ranked 50th in the nation in the pentathlon.
And did you do that in high school?
No, that's not an event. You can't do pentathlons or heptathlons or decathlons in high school. Those are just college events.
What is a pentathlon for people that are dumb like me?
Pentathlon is long jump, high jump, shot put, 60-meter hurdles, and then an 800-meter run.
And then you just combine the whole scores.
And so the way that they're scored, like, I mean, I'm still kind of new to it, but it's based off of how well you do compared to every other, like, D3, because I'll just use D3 because that's what we are. It's based off of how every other D3 athlete in the nation does in that event. So if you have, the way my coach Dunn explained it to me, was that if I were to have the fastest 60-meter hurdle time out of every athlete in the entire D3 nation, I would get an extra 1,000 points for having the fastest mark.
Wow.
Or like the farthest mark. If you're throwing or something, you're jumping, you get like an extra 1,000 points if you have the best mark out of everybody. But it's based off of, it's not like a first place, second place, third place. It's more of just like you get 600 points if you win the event in the way that it was. Like I ended up winning 3 of the 5 events. I ended up winning long jump, shot put, and high jump at national qualifiers in the pentathlon. I got about 600 or 700 points in each of those events. So
that's crazy.
It's definitely weird how they rank them and how the scoring works. And it's definitely something that I'll have to get used to, doing more pentathlons and heptathlons throughout my college career. So
what is your workout routine during the week? Because you have so many events. I know you said you have to focus on one event at a time, but what can you give us kind of an idea during the week what you do?
Oh, it's tough. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I wake up at 5:15. I've got practice from 5:45 to about 7:15ish, sometimes 7:30. And then on Mondays, I've got hurdle practice at 4:30 to 5:30. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have morning lift at like 6:15. It depends on if you want to wake up way early and go like 5:15, 5:30, or if you want to do afternoon lifts. And then I've got long jump on Tuesday afternoons, high jump Tuesday morning after lift. Wednesdays and Fridays, I have throwing practice. And then on Friday afternoons, on like late afternoon, I've got javelin practice. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I have roughly anywhere from like 10 to 12 practices a week, 2 a days, and then on Fridays 3.
Last question going on with that, all the different practices you have. How nice is it going to be with that new sports and fitness center across the street for you? Because you're only a freshman, so you're probably going to get first dibs at it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great. It'll be it won't be just useful to the track athletes. Like, it'll be useful to everybody. Like, it'll be useful for the softball players, basketball players, if they ever need to use it. The baseball players, soccer players, like, it'll be useful for everybody because we don't have to drive to MSU every morning for track practice. Like, we can just walk across the street and go to practice. And normally we have to drive to the MSU indoor track to go even practice. So it'll be very nice to have that and be able to use our track and host meets here.
That's great. I appreciate you joining here today. This is Stephanie Whitbroad, all the way from Douglas, Wyoming, the star of the women's indoor track and field team, and they'll get set here to start spring. When does spring season start?
So technically we started like last week, 2 weeks ago, but our first meet is next Saturday.
Next Saturday. Morris. Well, good luck next Saturday in Morris and to the spring season. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, we are joined now by freshman Riley Ashburn of the men's basketball team and some outdoor track this season. Riley, welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Your rookie of the year in the UMAC for you, men's basketball team, was that something that you had your eye on at all? Did that come as a surprise? What was your reaction to that?
Kind of midway through the season, it was kind of a thought that came up, just seeing talking to Sarah Cucky and hearing she got hers. It kind of came into my mind a little bit, but it wasn't really a main thought of mine, more focused on how the season was going for the team.
I know when I had Brian in here, when I did his interview a few weeks ago, he was super excited. He was like, yeah, and when we got Ash getting the Rookie of the Year, super pumped for him and all the awards that your team got all together. After some time for you to reflect on the season, what's your biggest takeaway personally on how the game is different from the high school level?
Just how fast it is and how the athletic jump from high school to college, and everyone's there to play. There's no really weak spots necessarily.
And we were talking earlier in the year, we did a freshman feature for you on blcvikings.com. We'll get that linked below the podcast today. We did that. Tell me a little bit about the culture of the team. We talked about that a little bit, but now having a full season under your belt, can you describe what the culture was like?
Hardworking, getting in and doing your job, not necessarily trying to be the highlight guy and make a play. It's come in, do your job, and work hard.
How did Coach Garvin assist with the culture at all?
Every day we came in, it was a work day. It was trying to bring the energy, keep being supportive of each other and getting the job done.
Where do you see your style of play fitting in next season? I know moving from a little bit of a wing play to some at the 5 spot this year. Have you had those discussions with Coach at all?
Yeah, we kind of talked a little bit about maybe moving more into like a 3 or 4 guard and mixing in with Hunter at the 5, possibly just being able to get better footwork on the perimeter and shoot more shots on the outside, get that consistency down.
Do you think your game fits in with the system we have in place here?
Yeah, definitely. I think if I can get to the outside and, like I said, be more consistent shooting threes and getting downhill on the drive, I think that could really play into how we play.
Obviously, you're very athletic. Do you feel you're the best dunker on the team?
Best dunker, probably. I'd have to take that. There are some guys that can get up, but I feel like I can get more.
Who else might surprise if your team were to hold a dunk contest?
Oh, Hayden Gunderson. He's got surprising bunnies. Easton Hulke, he can get up. Drew Sagadol, another freshman. And then Hunter's just a big man, but he can get up too.
I mean, yeah, we've seen Hunter get up a lob or two this season. Yeah. He doesn't strike me as the type of guy who's going to throw down any flashy dunks in game.
Right.
But, yeah, that's good to know some of the freshmen that we didn't get to see a lot of playing time from this year. Hopefully moving forward, if they get into the rotation in the mix next season, something maybe to keep an eye on.
For sure.
We're going to move on. I'm going to have you do a little bit of trivia. This is kind of impromptu on my part, but when we had Brian and Kyrie on, we had them do some women's basketball trivia. Well, now I'm going to ask you about their stats in particular. It'll be super easy, points, assists, steal, blocks, across the board, the rebounds, just the 5 main statistics that everyone thinks of. We're going to go with totals on the season. All right. So give you an idea, Brian Smith played and started in 23 games this season. Kyrie Mayfield played in 20 games, 18 starts for him. We will start with points. Give your guess for points on Brian and Kyrie, and I'm going to tell him obviously what the right answer is, and I'm also going to be the judge of if he's close enough to get a point. So,
all right,
starting with points.
Points, Brian, I'd say 21, or maybe
total points, not average.
Oh, total points.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, that's tough. Man, I'm gonna say 520 for Brian, then 460 for Ree.
Man, there's some big numbers. For Brian Smith, we had 409 points. Again,
Okay.
23 games started. He averages 17.8 on the year. And for Kyrie Mayfield, 244. Obviously, early in the season, his production was a little bit down.
Right.
Let's move on to rebounds, total rebounds for each.
Okay. Brian, I'm gonna say 113. Then Ree, 78.
Very close on Brian Smith. So that's your first right answer on my end. He had 111. Kyrie had 55, so I'm not going to give you that one.
Yeah.
Let's move on to assists.
Okay. For B, I'd say 148, and then Ree 127.
Man, you're overshooting Reed. He's gonna take that. He's gonna look at this and be like, "That's my guy. That is my guy." He thinks we should probably edit some of those categories. I mean, obviously, he was hoping to get in more action this year with some of the injuries that he had. What were we on? Assists, Brian Smith had 120. Kyrie with 70 on the year. Let's go to blocks now.
Okay. Blocks for B, I'd say 15. For Ree, 8.
4 and 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean,
I am overshooting.
yeah, they obviously weren't getting out. Maybe they should have been more aggressive contesting those perimeter jump shots. I don't think Garvin would have loved that if they're picking up fouling jump shooters out there. But anyways, moving on to steals.
Okay. B had a lot. I know he had quite a few.
23 games, remember.
23 games. I'm going to say 35 for B, and then 20 for Ree. I'm
going to give you Kyrie's there. He had 24, Brian Smith with 47. So that time, first undershoot a little bit. Let's switch gears a little bit, moving on to this outdoor track season coming up. You did some of that in high school, right?
Yep.
What events can we anticipate seeing you in this year?
So for this year, going off of the first meet, I'm doing high and triple jump. Then this is my first year ever throwing discus. So we'll see how that goes. And then I will be running in the 400 and then the 4x4.
I've seen you've been practicing some discus throw.
Yep.
How has that gone?
It's gone good. I mean, for never throwing before, never having any practice, just going off of the first couple practices, it's felt really good. And the coaches have been really supportive and excited to see how I do this year.
Coach Dunn and his staff, are they in communication with Coach Garvin at all, or is that something that
the kind of carryover between the off season for basketball and then the outdoor season for track? We're trying to keep the communication as top as we can and making sure that the schedules kind of work out and the workouts are consistent.
Definitely. What's your favorite event to
High jump.
High jump? Is that the one that you're strongest at too?
Yep. I would say I placed 7th in state my senior year.
Not a surprise based on some of the dunks we've seen on the court. What's your goal with track this season?
My goal is to come in and provide as many points as I can, do as many events as I can, I guess, and just can help out Bethany.
What's the reason with continuing being involved in track while you still have, obviously I assume, a bigger time commitment with basketball at the college level than the high school level? Is the reason just keeping up with athleticism, the crossover that happens there, staying part of a team? Is it competition?
I would say competition, and like I said, we're still having that off-season basketball, so I'm still with the team doing those workouts with the guys, and then also with the track season. Last year I saw that the UMAC conference for the high jump, and I was like, I would have placed very well in that. So I reached out to Coach Garvin, and then he got me to Coach Dunn, and we're like, yeah, let's do this.
Before I let you go, did you make any brackets this year for the NCAA tournament?
I did, yes.
How are they doing?
Not the best, but I mean, at the same time, who's is really good.
Right. Out of the 4 remaining teams, who do you have? Who's going to win it all?
On my bracket, I have Kansas, so I'm still in the running for that.
You've got Kansas. All right. I was going to be upset if you were to say Duke. I feel like that's the popular answer right now. Coach K going out in his final season. But Kansas, we'll be pulling for them then.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck to you moving forward in basketball and obviously track this season and beyond. That was Riley Ashburn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are great interviews. We got another opinion for each women and men that's not Jakin on track and field. And Gabe, Stephanie Whitbroad actually taught me the game of track and field. She said it in a way I could understand, right to the point. I was very impressed by her.
Well, that's good. And the fact that you call it a game of track and field, I think that's crazy terminology. So it's good that she was able to teach you some things at least.
What is it? It's a sport? What's the difference between
a sport?
Yeah, in a sport, you're competing.
I think of a game and you've got kind of this central singular event going on, but in track and field there's so many different events going on, right?
Like a pentathlon. She taught me what a pentathlon is.
I'm sure she went totally in depth with you on that.
Yeah, it was great. All right, this is what a lot of people have been waiting for now is the Bethany Vikings initials draft. You wanted to preface this with something because they're not necessarily 100%.
Yeah, so just like any draft, we get the rights to these players. We're gonna email them, text them, whatever it is first, and say, hey, we've drafted you to come on to the Bethany Initials tournament. But obviously they can disagree, so these aren't finalized, but these are the players who we're going to contact first from each sport.
And we're going to start it next week. We're going to do 2 different rounds, so the players and the coaches. And then so there's going to be 3 first rounds with that. The winner of each round will play each other in the championship. So there'll be 3 players and 3 coaches / athletic director Don Westfall and Katie Jo Coons, who's the sports and fitness or the sports information director here at Bethany Lutheran College, and the one who gives us the okay every time we send out these podcasts.
That's right.
So first up, we're going to go back and forth. We're going to start with the women's basketball draft. Again, I probably should say with the initials, people that they don't know. It's coming from the Power Trip Morning Show on KFan, where we'll have a set of initials. It could be anything like TA, and you will get 6 clues. And if you can't get into the 6 clues, then you go on to the next one, and there'll be 12 of them.
Yeah, I think I've got it. Tim Anderson, former shortstop, Chicago White Sox.
Exactly. And if that's right, you get a point. If that's wrong.
Did I get it right?
Dude, come back next week and I'll have that ready for you. I didn't give you any clues.
Oh, my bad.
And your name is your buzzer. So we'll go through all the details with that next week when we actually play the game. Well, that kind of gets you an overhead of what the game is like. 2 years ago, the championship round was Keegan Rich, Jake and Anderson, our studio host partner, and Derek Lingholm, but he didn't show up. I think he would have won if he showed up, but he's been on me to do this again so he can win. But that's why we're putting him with the coaches to make it more interesting. With that being said, let's get to the draft, Gabe. It looks like you're on the clock first. You're choosing a women's basketball player.
Yeah, first up, I've got to go with Sarah Kaki. She's been on the podcast before. Great interview. And obviously this year, her injury, I think she's going to come back strong with the mental side. So I'm feeling good about my first pick with Sarah Kaki.
And then next up for me is women's cross-country / track and field. Since there's so much overlap between the cross-country players and the track and field players, we agreed to put them together. And for the women's track and field, I'm going to stick with the person I just interviewed, Stephanie Whitbroad. Her mental side of the game, the way that she can just focus on each and every event, I think she's going to come here, and I think she has a chance to win it all. And we're keeping track to see who drafts wins. We got a little bit of a challenge going between me and you, Gabe.
Yeah, we're gonna make a friendly competition. I don't think we've officially decided on the points for each round yet, but
I say each point, 2 points if they win their round, and the championship gets 5 points.
Do you want to do a point for second place? If you
ain't first, you're last, Gabe.
You know what? I like that mentality. That's a good one.
All right, so we'll do that. We'll keep track. But so far, you got Sarah Kotke. I got Stephanie Whiproad. We just went in order how it looks on the Bethany website. So you got lucky. You got women's basketball. I got lucky. I got track and field and cross country. You're up next.
Yeah, next up, women's golf. We're going with Haley Thompson. I mean, how can you not have the GOAT of Bethany women's golf on the podcast? And next up, Brock, you've got women's soccer.
Yeah, so I got like a hybrid pick right here. So I'm going with Zoe Kanakin. She also plays softball, but I'm going to take her as the soccer player. She's the goalie. She's got good mentality. I think she won all conference in softball as well. That helps in this game initials. You got to know a lot of different things because you don't know what the question's going to be. So I'll take Zoe Kanakin.
Yeah, maybe can help from Canada too. Maybe some questions about.
Dude, I might do JB right and do Justin Bieber. Is that cheating if I already know That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, who's going to be coming up with these questions? If you're coming up with these questions and you're like, oh, I know this athlete knows this. Is this going to be rigged? How are we going to keep track of that?
Yeah, I'm going to be coming up with the questions. I'll make it as fair as possible. You know I'm a fair guy.
Yeah, sure. All right.
You're up again.
Yeah. Softball, I'm going with Caitlin Hallbach.
And what position does she play, Gabe?
I think an outfielder.
Oh my God! How do you not know? Oh, so you're gonna edit that out? Okay.
We'll edit that out.
Do you know? It's probably good.
She is. I was right.
Just be confident.
An outfielder, Caitlin Hallbach.
And what position does Caitlin Hallbach play?
Outfield.
Dude, come on! You gotta give me a little more.
No,
okay, that's
of course
fine.
not. I don't think we have to cut it out. But do you want to ask one more time just to be sure?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, what position does Caitlin Hallbach play?
Well, she's an outfielder.
All right, so you got Caitlin Hallbach. And for my last women's pick, it's the tennis team. I'm going to go with another hybrid selection. This person also plays basketball. I'm going to go with Caitlin Baru for my women's tennis player.
Alrighty, and for volleyball, I have to go with Amia Broughton. She's from my hometown of Waseca. No chance that I can leave her off.
So that's you just looked by the hometown to go with your pick. Hey,
we'll see if it pays off. Could be a bold strategy.
You never know who's going to win. You just don't know their backgrounds or how much they watch, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and get all these trivia questions. Were you surprised that Brian Smith won the basketball trivia?
No.
I know, but I'll be honest. When we did that, I had no idea who was going to win. You just don't know. With that being said, we don't know. Let's go with basketball for the men's side. Or am I up right now?
You're up.
What sport am I picking? You're the one that laid this all out for me.
Wait. You're up with baseball.
Oh, I'm up with baseball.
Mess it up.
Oh, okay.
Alphabetical order baseball.
That's a tough one. There's a lot of people. I played baseball first year. But I'm going to go with Matt Verdugo. Like, he's an RA. He's all academic team. I'm going to go with Matt Verdugo. He's from Colorado. He's been around the whole world.
I like it.
I'm going to go with Matt Verdugo.
I think that's a solid pick. Now on to basketball.
Okay, you get all the basketball. I don't know why you get all the basketball. But that's
I have to go Jarrett Updahl. Absolutely. Another player who was injured this year. Maybe I'm just a fan of the injured players. But also, fun fact, my mother taught him in high school math at New Richland Heartland, Ellendale, Geneva. So a little bit of connection there. I'm going to try to get some insight.
You're taking all your hometown. Why couldn't you take like Grace Gherkin or Haley Meyer? Get someone from South Dakota on the show. They probably won't. You just failed right there, Gabe. You could have.
Look, Brock, I know you're from South Dakota. No offense to Grace or Haley. Terrific people, terrific players. I'm sure good interviews and would be good on the show. But you're from South Dakota. I can't have more South Dakotans coming on to the initials show.
Yeah, I would have crafted questions toward them. I would have asked a South Dakota question, and you would have been right on that. But now I can actually ask South Dakota because it's fair for everyone because no one's from South Dakota on this list so far. I'm up next, right?
You're up with cross country / track.
Cross country track. I'll go with Jake Marzinski. He was on the show last year. He's a smart guy. He's really good. Obviously, he has a lot of records for the Bethany track and field. I like my chances with him. And remember, I got back-to-back track and field, right? I got the women and the men. And you know who made the championship last year? Track and field. You're going down, Gabe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can't argue with the pick of Jake Marzinski. Another possible GOAT. Does that ruffle any feathers if I call Jake Marzinski?
Is Jake going to be mad at you? If you would have won that 1/10 and got the school record, maybe he would have an argument.
Maybe. Well, now moving on to men's golf.
You can't pick yourself, Gabe.
I can't pick me. Are you serious?
Yeah, you can't pick yourself.
That's okay. I wasn't going to anyways. But I'm going with Tyan Murphy. He's a freshman. Got in some competitions this year. His knowledge on sports is incredibly high. So we're going with him, and I hope we get some sports questions. Can we get that into the competition?
I'm really well-rounded. I'm from South Dakota, so I know a lot of different things. So I'll make the questions. Yeah, some sports, some pop culture, dude. I'll make sure it's fair for everyone.
Alrighty. Men's soccer for you.
Soccer. So I get double soccer again. This one, I'm going with Andre Silva. He also is going to be the student body president next year at Bethany. So I think Andre Silva is well-rounded. I think he's from Central America. So if I ask some international questions, you might get him.
He's going to be on top of it.
All right, you're up with one more pick. Is that right?
Yeah, men's tennis. And I'm going with Carlos French, former, UMAC player of the week. Hopefully you can get some more coming this year. But can't go wrong.
So I pick a person from Central America, and you had to outdo me again and take Carlos French.
Of course. I mean, that's the whole point of this. I've got the better team.
So what is the teams right now for the players?
All right, so your team, you got Steph Whitbroad, Zoe Kanakin, Caitlin Baru, Matt Verdugo, Jake Marzinski, Andre Silva, and you've got one less player than I do for this draft.
Okay.
We gave me a handicap. Even though I'm the golfer, I still deserve a handicap. I mean, come on.
It's a mulligan.
It's a mulligan?
Or what's the difference? I like the word mulligan. I like when I play a golf and I get a mulligan.
Yeah, this is really a handicap because it allows me one extra player. A mulligan is like a do-over.
Okay.
Where you hit again.
So if I lose this, I want a mulligan. But we got coaches, right? Coaches up, so this is totally
don't get a mulligan. Yeah. Okay. And then, did you want to hear my team or do our...
Fine, you can say your team. It's all about you, Gabe. Let's go.
Happy? All right, so we got Sarah Cockey, Haley Thompson, Caitlin Hallbach, Amia Broughton, Jarrett Updahl, Tyan Murphy, and Carlos French. I feel so good about that. I'm going to win.
I feel good about my team, too, and I get the first pick for coaches, right?
That's right.
Coaches and Katie Joe and Don Westfall.
That's right.
So there's 12 coaches, 13 players. So for the rounds, it'll be 4, 4, and 5 for the players, right? Is that good math? That's 13. 4, 4, 5. That's 13, yeah?
Yeah, sounds right to me.
I'm from South Dakota. And coaches is 4, 4, and 4 because there's 12 of them. Or 10 coaches plus Katie Joe and Don Westfall. So I'll go to pick first because you got picked first last time. I'm going to go with the one coach that was on the – I guess we had Alicia from the men's and women's tennis coach when we did the initials 2 years ago. But Derek Lingholm stole his show. He didn't make it to the championship, but I think he would have won if he made it there. So I'm going to take Derek Lingholm with the first overall pick in the coaches selection pool. All right, you got the second pick, Gabe. Who do you got?
Yeah, for my first pick, I'm going with Katie Joe. I have to. I'm interning under her. She's got a ton of experience, obviously, in both the sports world and just great person with a lot of knowledge. Absolutely have to go with her. I expect her to win it all. No pressure.
Yeah, I kind of like my pick because I had Lingholm, and then I didn't know who to decide between Don Westfall and Katie Joe. You took Katie Joe, so I'll take the athletic director, a man that wears many hats. He also announces the Minnesota State hockey. He worked for the Vikings before. He was on the podcast 2 years ago talking about COVID, so he's been all around the block, Gabe.
Really? I actually didn't know that he's worked for the Vikings.
Or like a writer. He wrote about the Vikings.
Wow. Oh. Can't go wrong there.
You're up.
I have to go with my golf coach, Josh Patterson. Absolutely terrific coach. Again, hopefully we get a ton of sports questions because I love talking to him about sports. So Josh Patterson it is.
I'm glad we got a cheat sheet here. John Olmonson's the volleyball coach. We better get him on the podcast. I don't think we've ever said his name on the podcast till now. I don't know whose fault that is, but
well, I have actually.
You have?
I've done an interview. I believe it was Alexis Morshing.
Yeah, she's been on the podcast.
I believe it was Alexis Morshing and asked her about Coach Olmonson. Also, he is the advisor for our SAC group on campus. Student Athletic Advisory Committee.
Wow. I don't think I've ever spoke a word to him, and I've been around everything. That's got to change, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
With that being said, I'm just going to take him. Why
You're gonna
not?
take him?
I've never spoken to him. But with that being said, the anonymity, is that a word? Anonymity?
anonymity, I think is the word you're looking for.
That's the word. I'm going to take John Olmanson because of that.
I'm not sure he's anonymous. He's just unknown to you, but that's okay. So Olmanson is off the board. Let's see. Up next. Come on. I have to go Lyle Jones. So much experience. I feel like he's just got a boatload of knowledge. He could be a dark horse candidate to win.
Yeah, he's coached like 35 years or something. He's been around a lot. But how about if I don't ask any basketball questions, Gabe?
Well,
Yeah, maybe we make Jake and make all the questions.
that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I think that's what we have to go here. I'm next. I don't want to be shut out of all the basketball. You got to pick all the men's and women basketball players for the players, and now you just took Lyle Jones. So I'm going to take Pat Garvin with my next pick.
Very knowledgeable guy about sports again.
Absolutely.
We're only thinking about sports. I mean, it makes sense. This is the Bethany Vikings podcast. We talk about athletics on here.
He's a Vikings fan. I think Dan Westfall's a Vikings fan. Lingholm, I think, is a Vikings fan. I might do a KC for my first initials and say, who is the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings?
Oh, I think I know this one.
Who is it?
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
Am I
nothing gets
right?
by you, Gabe. Unbelievable. All right.
I'm on top of my game today. Maybe I should have drafted myself if I could have. Anyways, next up, you picked a couple of international students, which is great strategy. I'm going Emma Morris, women's soccer coach Emma Morris. She's my next pick.
She's got the accent, right? Still the British accent.
Of course.
All right, so you got Emma Morris. I'm up. Maybe I should take. Who should I take? We got Ryan Craig still on the board. Tony Bowler still on the board. Michael Dunn still on the board, and Dan Nessler on the board. I'm gonna go with Tony Bowler. I played for him last year for tennis. He's another writer. He wrote for St. Peter's is the town that Gustavus is in. So he's done a lot of research. I think he could be a good pick.
Yeah, St. Peter. St. Peter.
I was thinking about the basketball team, St. Peter's. Elite Eight, Gabe. The Peacocks.
Insane. I have to go with Ryan Craig. I mean, assistant AD, head baseball coach, been around a long time, lots of championships. Maybe he can get another one for me.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was fair if I could get Don Westfall and Ryan Craig, have both of the leaders of the college. People just might be scared of them and not try. So I think it's kind of evens out here with that strategy. Next up is I'll take Coach Dan Nessler, the softball coach. They've been up and coming. Yeah, I'll take Dan Nessler, man.
Nice, solid. We're down to one pick, and this is not like backyard football, playground football, where you got two captains and you got the kids who are picked last. Unfortunately, this is not like that. I mean, we don't know. Anyone could win. I mean, it really depends on the question. We don't know anybody's trivia skills. Really,
well, I already had Stephanie Whitbroad and Jake Marzinski from the track and field, so I wasn't going to go all in on Michael. Then you got to spread your assets around.
Yeah, but the track and field team has been so successful in this tournament. So maybe with my final pick, I'm going Michael Dunn, by the way, head coach of both men's and women's track and field and cross country, as my final pick.
All right, so whose team's on the coaches now? Compare the two teams.
All right, coaches, starting with Brock, we've got Tony Bowler, John Olmanson, Pat Garvin, Derek Lingholm, Dan Nessler, and Don Westfall. And for me, got Lyle Jones, Michael Dunn, Josh Patterson, Emma Morris, Ryan Craig, and Katie Joe.
All right, that should be a lot of fun. We'll email or on the Twitter page who's going to be the contestants going into each week, so you guys can do the fan vote and predict who you think's going to win each round. Should be a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us on another week of the Bethany Vikings podcast. You obviously don't want to miss next week, the first round of the Bethany Initials.